Not a week goes by where I don't talk to someone who has a goal of wanting to retire at a certain age, but believe that that goal isn't achievable and they're going to have to retire a lot later. This always leads to the question, how can I retire earlier? So in this video, I'm going to cover the number one thing that you can do to retire faster. Hey everyone, if we haven't met yet, I'm Johnathan Rankin, the founder and CEO of Theorem Wealth Management, where our goal is to help you maximize your retirement. In my mind, there's a big difference between retiring early and retiring faster. Over the past couple of years, there's been the FIRE movement that's gained popularity, the whole financial independence retire early movement, where people go through extreme lengths so they can retire in their 30s or 40s. That includes taking on side jobs and cutting back spending in extreme manners just to save as much as possible so they can achieve that retirement goal. And that's great, but that's not what we're talking about here. Every single week, I talk to dozens and dozens of people in their 50s and 60s that just want to retire at a normal age. For some, that's 60, for some, it's 62, maybe 65, and for some, it's in their 70s. But in every conversation, I usually get two different ages. The first age is the age that someone wants to retire, and the other age is the age at which they think they can retire. Now, there are a lot of things that you could do to retire faster, but for a lot of people, maybe those things just aren't realistic. Maybe it doesn't fit your schedule to be able to take on a second job, or maybe you've done everything you could do to cut back on your expenses and you're saving as much money as you physically can at this time. But there's one thing you could do that can help you retire faster, and it does involve getting a second job or major extreme spending cuts. The one thing you could do that will help you retire faster is start aggressively planning your retirement. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, I've been helping people retire for going on 2 decades, and I can say that after thousands of conversations about retirement, only a very small fraction of people that I've talked to have a very clear understanding of what retirement looks like to them. Retirement is just like any other goal, and it really requires specifics to become achievable. I mean, think about some of the most common goals that people have. That could be losing weight and getting into shape. But if I said that my whole goal was just to lose weight and get into shape, that really doesn't say anything about what I want to accomplish. Because if I lost 1 pound, technically I lost weight, and I might be a different shape, or at least a shape, but what does it actually mean to get into shape? Now, if I said that I would like to get to 10% body fat by December 31st, and based on my current body composition, that means I need to lose 15 pounds, I have a very clear idea of what achieving that goal looks like. Another common goal for people is to eventually buy their first house. But if you went to a realtor and just said that you want to buy a home this year, imagine the amount of listings that you would get and the type of homes that would come back. I mean, just think about all the search filters on real estate websites, whether that's Zillow or Redfin. I mean, you can get as specific as you want when you're thinking about buying a home. And eventually that goal of I just want to buy a home could turn into I want to buy a home with at least 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, at least 2,000 square feet in a certain neighborhood with a certain lot size, and it must be built between 2008 and 2009, if you want to get that specific. But in both of those examples, each goal had a clear definition of what success is, and that is the one thing that most people lack when planning their retirement. Now, maybe it's because there are no search filters or parameters around building a retirement lifestyle, because it is completely up to you and it's unique from person to person, and that can make it a lot harder. The other thing that makes retirement planning harder than planning for most goals is that you're planning for a future lifestyle and not something that just has an end date. So let's talk about how you can make it easier and how you can retire faster. So if you are like most people and you know that at some point you want to retire, but the specifics around that retirement are still unclear, the best thing you could do that will eventually help you retire faster is to know what kind of lifestyle is possible. Think about this as getting pre-qualified for a house. When you go through that pre-qualification process for a home, you know exactly how much you could spend, and that's going to tell you the type of house that you can buy when you're searching for homes. I remember doing this right out of college when I thought I wanted to buy my first house, and I would drive by neighborhoods and look at listings. I had this goal in my mind of buying my first home. Then I went through the pre-qualification process, and I was told that I can only buy a home if it was less than $150,000. So when I looked at all the homes that were in my price range, I realized that even though buying one of those homes would satisfy my goal of buying my first house, it wasn't what I wanted. It wasn't the type of house that I could see myself in. And so if I truly wanted to get the house of my dreams, I had to either save more, make more, or wait, or maybe a combination of all of those things. So how can you do this for your retirement? Well, you have to start somewhere. So my advice, just pick an age. It could be the most aggressive, earliest age that you could see yourself retiring, or it could be the age that you decide, okay, when I get to this age, I no longer want to work regardless of how much money I have. Or you could just pick an age in between. So once you pick that age, then you'll want to actually create a list of all the savings accounts that you're going to rely on for your retirement. That could be your 401k, an IRA, a brokerage account, or just savings in the bank. You also should write down how much you're saving into each account every single year. You want to have a list of all the incomes that you expect to have in retirement. That could be things from a pension or rental income, or if it's just your Social Security benefits, just list that. So at this point, you have some arbitrary date in the future and a list of all the savings that you have today and how much you're actually saving into each one of those accounts, and then a list of all the income streams that you're expecting in retirement. For the next step, you could attempt to do this by hand, or you can search for an online calculator, or if you'd like, you can use the link in the description below, and a member of our team will be happy to help you with this process. But the next step is where you're going to forecast how much in savings you'll likely have at that date you chose. And this amount is going to be based on your yearly savings and some sort of rate of return on the current savings you have. Now, just to be prudent, I always recommend estimating a moderately conservative rate of return, because if things are better than that, then great. But at least you're not basing major life decisions on achieving some aggressive high rate of return. So let's just say you're 50 years old today and you decide that the arbitrary date that you're looking at is 62 years old. Now, currently you have $250,000 saved and you save $3,000 per month, and that includes your company match into your 401k. Now, if you assumed a 5% rate of return, by the time you're 62, you're going to have a little over $1 million at 62. Now, you can use the 4% rule if you're doing this on your own, or an advisor can help you get detailed with a withdrawal strategy. But assuming that 4% rule, that means that you can withdraw $40,000 per year from your savings. Now, let's assume that you were planning on retiring at 62, and if that was your plan, you would also begin collecting Social Security benefits at that time. We're not going to get into the argument of whether or not you should take it at 62 or delay. If you have questions about what age you should take Social Security, make sure you check out the video that we're going to link to right here, where we cover different ages and when you should collect your benefits. But let's just assume that at 62, your benefits came out to $25,000 a year. So just like getting pre-qualified for a house, you have to decide if you can live the lifestyle you want with $65,000 a year of yearly income. If that's enough for you to maintain your lifestyle, that's great. Now you have a better idea of a realistic retirement. But if it's not, then you'll want to go through this exercise with every single age until you get to the number that works for you. At a certain point, based on your savings and your current savings rate, maybe you don't ever get to the number that you need to retire comfortably. It's a lot better to know that you're not on track as early as possible than it is to find out that you're not on track when you think retirement is right around the corner. Because there is no magic bullet when it comes to retirement. If you find yourself not on track to your retirement, there are only 3 things that you could do. You could save more, you could delay retirement, or you can reduce how much you're planning on spending in retirement. And that's it. Those are the 3 things that you control. Now, the people that I've seen firsthand retire with more confidence and at the age that they truly wanted to retire started thinking about retirement a lot earlier than their peers. Even though the specifics may not have been clear from the very beginning, they started with understanding what kind of lifestyle they were on track to achieving and then made modifications over time. You don't have to exactly know what your bills are going to be 10 years from now. I mean, I've got 2 young kids. I have no clue what my expenses are going to be next year, let alone 10 years from now or even more. At some point, budgeting and expense tracking will become important when you're planning your retirement, but don't let that get in your way of at least seeing what kind of retirement you're pre-qualifying yourself for. Now, if you need help and just feel overwhelmed and confused with the whole process, use the link in the description below and schedule some time with a member of our team. Now, if part of your retirement strategy includes saving in a 401k, make sure you check out the video coming up next where we cover how you can make the most out of your 401k. I'll see you there.